Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to anybody watching out there. My name is Maverick, or Mav2AC. I am the driver of the number 31 Leaf Filter Chevy ZL1 for Colleague Racing for the Race League for NASCAR Heat 5 Gearhead Racing Series, Cup Series. I first and foremost want to thank Happy, Biker, Visler, and just a lot of other people that are in the actual racing league. This has been one of my favorite racing leagues that I've ever raced in, as well as if you really are looking for clean drivers, respectable drivers, and just, even if there's an accident or an incident on track where you and somebody else is involved, there's going to be apologies. There will be, um, you know, some forgiveness and everything, and there has yet to be any drama in this league, and that I am really happy for. And yes, you will see me for season 7 of Gearhead Racing. Will I be driving the 31 car? Maybe. I might be driving the 16 car, and there's a reason for that, and I'll get to that in a minute. I also want to thank the viewers for watching every single race that we've raced this season. I know I put out a lot of different content, from Grand Theft Auto to Hell Let Loose to NASCAR Heat. But today's video is just going to have a rundown of what next series I have coming in line on my channel. It's going to be called the Tour de France. And the Tour de France is going to start at Homestead and end at Darlington. The reason that I have it this way is because each and every one of these tracks are going clockwise, starting from Homestead, going up to Daytona, and then across the entire continental United States. Air the term or the title of the championship season, the Tour de France. Now, of course, we are going to be all the way down here on the bottom of the list here. And as the top 8 shows, this is their belief that it's going to be Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano, Michael McDowell, Alex Woodman, Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex Jr., and Kyle Busch is your top 8 so far before the race or anything starts. Pardon me. To show you what we got here, our gameplay is going to be on expert difficulty mode, manual transmission, brake smoothing is going to be on low, 100% with full damage. DNFs are going to be disabled because I don't want to just DNF out of a race. And that's how it's going to be there. So, with that, let's get into discussion with iRacing purchasing the rights to create simulation-like console video games and video games in itself for NASCAR. Now, before we get to that, I want to remind everybody that watches this series is going to be 100% full races, but on this track here and this track here, we're only going to be running 10%. For that reason is because these are very long tracks, and I try to keep my races or even just my videos within itself an hour long. I have noticed while being on YouTube Studios and looking at my frequent watching time, the people that mostly watch all the way through are the ones that enjoy my content, but the majority of my audience that comes only watches about 10 to 15 minutes of stuff, and then they get bored or something happens and they just quit watching. And that's understandable. To each their own. I'm not the pot of coffee everybody likes kind of thing. But all the other races will all be 100%. So, going through this real quick, how this race season will go is it's going to go from Homestead to Darlington, and it's going to go clockwise. So the first race will be Homestead. The second race will be at Daytona, then Atlanta, Talladega, Texas, Phoenix, Auto Club, Sonoma, Las Vegas, excuse me, Kansas, allergy season, Road America, Gateway or Worldwide Technology Raceway, the Indianapolis Roval, and we're going to talk about this track here in a little bit too as well. This is one of my favorite tracks on the Oval. I am glad they're going back to the Oval. I was born during the inaugural Brickyard 400 race. And later on in life, when I got older, I became a Jeff Gordon fan, not realizing until I got into middle school when I had to do a school project about something that I am passionate about and that I love, and it was NASCAR. I found out that he won at that race, and that race was ran on my birthday. And I was very excited, and that made me even more a bigger fan of Jeff Gordon and a bigger fan of NASCAR. Then going to Michigan, then Watkins Glen, New Hampshire, Pocono, Dover, Richmond, Martinsville, Charlotte, Bristol Dirt, and then Darlington. So that is how the season will go. This is a series I'm going to try to do on Sundays after I get off work. So if a Sunday is missed, don't be alarmed. I may be putting it out for the next week. I am currently in the round of 8 with Gearhead Racing Series, so I am trying to focus most of my time trying to prepare myself for Martinsville and for Road America. Those are the next 2 races, and Road America is the cutoff race before the round of 4, which is going to be at Homestead, which is ironically going to be the first race of this season. So, with that being said, I hope you guys will enjoy this series, and I will try to do my best at making it fun for not only myself, but also for you. So with that being said, let's go back and let's sit there and just hover over this picture real quick. So, talking about iRacing buying out the rights for the NASCAR Heat Games is very fascinating for me. And the reason I say that is just simply because, for years, NASCAR fans have always wanted something that is very similar to what they want in a NASCAR video game. And me personally, I remember when I was 8 years old, my imagination kicked into gear, and I had this idea of buying one of these race cars and then gutting it out and making it into a video game, kind of like the arcades were back when we used to go to the arcades and stuff, and just sit in one of those little race seats and race on those arcade NASCAR games that they'd have at either the arcades or the bars or Dave and Buster's kind of things, and I had a whole 70-page notebook with rosters of the drivers at that time. And at the time, you had David Rudiman, Dale Jarrett, all these drivers at the time. And I had all of them listed. And then, I also, predicted how I'd do at each of one of these tracks and stuff. And I had this idea book, spot perfectly good. And then when I graduated high school, I looked up, the Rusty Wallace experience and stuff like that. Unfortunately, due to my heart condition, I am unable to actually strap into an actual real race car. That's why I tried to come up with this idea for a simulated NASCAR video game that'd be so realistic that I wouldn't even have to sit there and pay for a race car and go out and race. Well, while I'm sitting there watching these videos, and I'm also going through and looking at NASCAR video games, a video of iRacing pops up. And I do not remember who the person was that created the video, but I do remember they had a very well built together racing rig, and it looked really cool, and it said iRacing on it. And I was like, iRacing? What's that? And I looked into it, and it was pretty much just spot on what I imagined. except for a full body race car turned into an actual video game system. I know there are people that actually do that for iRacing, and I will just tell them like, bro, mad props for you to be able to have enough money and just pay for that and do it yourself. If somebody has, $3,000 to $10,000 and they're willing to buy half a chassis and build an entire racing rig inside of it, all power to them. Congratulations. For years, we've had NASCAR video games that were arcadey and casual and fun and all that. But once it started getting older and older and older, as from being a kid, you started realizing that you want it to be so authentic and so realistic that you can relate to the drivers out there on the track. I read somewhere about a year ago or so that said that that the iRacing servers, regardless if you're doing NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, whatever the series is, they have done so well of a job that iRacing is 93.7% accurate to real world racing. That is a lot. That is I think, no, that's not minus, but it's an A. That is an A grade there for that. And to know that that is what people are striving for is a PC online game that resembles NR 2003. It's fascinating. Then when you look into it, you find out that NR Racing, NR 2003 was actually built and created by a company called Papyrus. Papyrus is iRacing. And that's even more of a big gold mind blow, So, for years, since, as far as I know, from 2012 on up, a lot of NASCAR racing fans and e-racers, or whatever you want to call them, just NASCAR fans in general that like to play video games, have always wanted to get something that is similar to what the NASCAR drivers will experience. Because in the console gaming world, it is honestly difficult for somebody to sit there and make, pardon me for having, my mind blank out and everything. It's just hard to come up with words for this. Like, console gaming just doesn't have the ability that PC gamers do. And it really hits NASCAR fans hard because you have simulation like video games like Project Cars 2. I'm going to butcher this name, but Estetio Competition, that game. Once I can figure out how to say it, you'll know. That game as well. Grid, the early grids. All these other games are the closest things that we could get to simulated like racing games. But most of these games are based around IMSA racing or streetcar racing. We haven't had really any game that was close to simulation like for just NASCAR in general. And that's unfortunate. And for the last 5 years, the NASCAR Heat series has been one of the up-and-coming, slow to progress racing video games that is anywhere close to what we can have for fun. And I want to thank Monster Games and 704 Games for their hard work and their dedication to trying to give us the best games that they possibly can. When Motorsport Games took over the licensing and everything, I myself, along with a lot of people that I know, were ecstatic to know that we were going to get something that was good. But unfortunately, it didn't come out that way. And I do feel sorry for the actual workers of Motorsport Games that actually tried to make a really good game. but it wasn't going to come out that way. I know there were a lot of fans that butchered and belittled them and basically treated them like dirt for it, even though it probably wasn't their idea or their responsibility or whatever the case may be, because motorsport games really just robbed the bank on NASCAR. And since it's an international company, don't really think they can really come up with any charges for something, especially if it's all legal documents and stuff. But that's beside the point. We're talking about something else. We're talking about something better, something greater, something good that's coming out of this here. So let's get to that here. So on October 5th, 2023, iRacing came out with a trailer with NASCAR, and every single news outlet from X to Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, all these other social media outlets came out with a news article stating that iRacing had bought the simulation style console video game licensing from Motorsport Games for about $5.1 million. And they are expected to have a video game released sometime in 2025. That gives them 2 years to come out with a structured, solid game that is not only going to have everything that because it says they're going to come out with a game that has everything that everybody wants, the feels, the graphics, and all that. So you're given promises that you have to fulfill. Now, since they have 2 years to do this development, one of the suggestions that I have for iRacing and for whatever company else that they are working with, since there's going to be that long of a time, what I would suggest is, since the only functional, real good game that we have to where we can do league races and online races and career mode and all this other stuff is NASCAR Heat 5, I would suggest to the iRacing company, whatever team or workers or whatever else that they are inviting in to create the next console video game, have them take over the actual NASCAR Heat 5 project and come out with these 3 things. And this is my opinion. You can take it, you can leave it, you can throw it in the trash. I don't care. Number 1, come out with a multiplayer online server update so that there is a better connection between all of the drivers. In this season with Gearhead Racing, there has been at least 3 races, which is not bad. 3 races that we've done where there has been a super laggy server that we got onto. And, you know, to either reset a router or put a brand new router out or something. I don't know how you would be able to do it, but some kind of server reboot or a rebuild would be just perfect for this game to be able to run more league races, because this is going to be the primary game until 2025. We got to be honest about that. Motorsport Games is disaster of NASCAR 21 Ignition. The only people that really play that are the ones that just don't want to play NASCAR Heat 5, or they're just going to live with it kind of thing. It would help as well with the game as itself. The second thing that I would suggest to iRacing and whatever other companies that are going to help them out with this project for the NASCAR Heat 5 is release the remainder of the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series paint schemes for all the drivers. This is the card that I chose for the race season because this is most of the... I'm sorry, excuse me, let me rephrase that. The reason I chose this car for the Gearhead Racing Series is because this paint scheme itself was used the most. And, you know, you have all these guys here, you know, and I know for a fact that, you know, the Raptor the cool olive green, dark looking black olive green Raptor William Byron car would look really cool. Or even the white, blue, and red Liberty University Flames car would look good on here. And also with, Kyle Busch, he had the Interstate batteries. He had other, Snickers and all these other things. And then, Kurt Busch. I know for a fact that he had a McDonald's car and a few other race cars that season, and that would be good to add on to here as well. And then, Harrison Burton, Chris Buescher. There's so many schemes. Like there was even a purple version of this car that I honestly liked. So what I would suggest to iRacing is to come out with a finished 2022 season paint scheme update. Not only that, also whoever is working on that race team, they need to, because look, there's even this, but you can't customize a car. So I would hope that the team that took over the NASCAR Heat 5 servers and everything like that, because they did buy NASCAR Heat 5 and NASCAR Ignition from Motorsport Games with that deal. What I would like is they to implement a paint booth for this car. That way, drivers are able to sit there and create the race car that they want. But there are so many different, like even with Bubba Wallace, there's so many other paint schemes that you could run for him as well. Martin Truex Jr., Daniel Suarez, there's so many. If there was more than just one paint scheme, this would have been my car. Honest to God, this would have been my car. So that would be beneficial. And then another thing also is added onto with the paint schemes. With these drivers themselves, their avatars have the uniform in perfection. But if you do it in career mode, if you race any of these cars in career mode, then for some reason your avatar, the placement of all the sponsors and all this other stuff on the fire suit, it just looks horrible. That needs to be redone too. In my career mode, I'm racing with Kyle Larson because the 31 team, for some reason, they're ranked as a 2-star, and that's very shady. I understand that they didn't win really any races last season. Colleague, they didn't win any races last season, but Colleague Racing is a 4-star team. They're not 5, but they're a 4-star team. They're up there in the top 10s and mid 15s. I raced this car in career mode for a whole season, and at most, the highest I could get in that whole entire season was 18th place, and I didn't like that at all. I like a challenge, but I don't like the fact that I can't adjust my car or even create a custom setup. That's another thing that a lot of people in my league and people on NASCAR Heat 5 communities all over Reddit and Facebook and all this other stuff are wishing that they would have been able to implement custom race setups into this game. The third thing that I want to also bring up is, iRacing created, with Monster Games assistance, World of Outlaws, a console-only video game. They came out with a 2023 update that had 2 tracks, roster updates, paint scheme updates, and all sorts of stuff. What I would love to see, like I said, since we will not have a new racing video game for 2 years, I would love to see an overhaul update of this game to where they will implement the 2023 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, rosters, paint schemes, avatars, fire suits, crew chiefs, whatever, all that. Same with the Xfinity Series and same with the Cup Series. All the paint schemes throughout the season, all the paint schemes, racetracks, everything. I know that creating coda will probably be difficult. I know that adding the Knoxville Raceway might be difficult. I don't think they actually race there this season. Um, but an idea to throw out there for that would be perfect, because what you can do is you can create a update for NASCAR Heat 5 for all console and Steam, and there is a actual small little community that actually did make a full 2022 and full 2023 paint schemes, rosters, and everything of all three series. If you look up Millard Radman or Real Radman or any other popular YouTuber who does NASCAR Heat 5 and iRacing videos, they will let you know how and where to go to get these paint schemes. Excuse me. And I would suggest to iRacing to purchase the mod from these people. I know they won't ask for a lot of money because they did this out of the kindness of their heart, so that, you know, drivers online can sit there and have an updated roster and everything like that. I mean, they did a very good job of it. And I know they probably won't ask for very much because they want to be able to get this out to everybody. And if they hear that iRacing is wanting to purchase the updates so that the drivers of each kind of console has the ability to choose and do all these things, I know they would love it. I know there's going to be some coding and other things that you'll have to work on, but hey, you purchase it from these guys, and you make sure that it can get implemented automatically through PC, through PlayStation, through Xbox, Switch, whatever. Perfect. Slap a $30 price tag on it, and people are going to sit there and be like, $30? Why $30? Well, it's simple, really. You got to think. We're not going to have a game for 2 years. So $30 to have 2022 and 2023 full schemes, you can just sit there and say, okay, it's going to be $15 a piece. $15 a piece for an update that actually is going to have an updated roster, updated paint schemes, updated track format with, because the track format they're going to have to actually build from scratch. But to have all those things for $30, that's fine with me. I'll pay that because we won't have a game for 2 years. So to have the ability to have that would be awesome. Now, an expected release date for something like that, I don't see it happening anytime very soon. But I would say that if they actually took what I said into consideration, I could say maybe around January to probably late February, they could probably have all that ready and set to go. The racetracks like Coda and North Wilkesboro, which, oh my God, that'd be great. And a few other racetracks, I guess, that we've gone to for the first time to see, Chicago Street Course. Those will probably take some time, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to sit there and release that as like a summer update for 2024. Because, like I said, this is just an idea. You take it as it is. You can throw it out and all that. But I'm thinking of all this for the consumer, for the NASCAR fan, for the drivers of the eNASCAR series like me and all my other fellow competitors in the Gearhead Racing Series, to add multiple different paint schemes for not only Cup Series, but also for Xfinity Series, for the Truck Series. That would be really, really great. Because that would be a really big step for iRacing to sit there and show the consumer and the fans and the drivers that we are listening. We want you to be happy, and we want to show you here that we actually want you to like what we do. So those are the three things that I bigly looked at. Now, let's actually discuss on what is to be expected of these games. So, since this is technically supposedly going to be a brand new game from the ground up, what a lot of people are hoping that it's going to be is it's going to be an NR 2003 type of game. Now, if that does end up becoming what this is going to be, then that would be actually pretty cool. Because in NR 2003, you were able to drive down pit road yourself, you were able to drive under caution yourself, start your engine, turn off your engine. You were able, you had crash damage. You could drive to the pits and all these other things. That was cool. I did like that in our 2003. The only thing that I hope that they do that NASCAR Ignition did, which is the first game that ever do this in any NASCAR game, I hope that in this next game that iRacing has, there is an open interior for the infield, and that includes driving into victory lane. And do not limit it to just offline. Make it online too, because it was actually pretty exciting. That was like the really only good thing that I liked about NASCAR Ignition, was that you could go into the infields of every one of the tracks and see where the garage stalls were, where victory lane was and stuff. They cut you off and they block you off at a certain distance in the track, and that's fine. That's fine with me. But to be able to have like an open availability and drive in and out of the track as you please, that is cool. Um, you know, Especially for me, I like the visuals. I love just the openness of it and just being like, here you go. Um, for like league races and stuff, I don't know if anybody would really take this that far, but in iRacing, after the race is over, you're able to go and do donuts and stuff like that. If that's also able to be done in this new NASCAR game, that would be great too. Because after the race is over, the driver would want to go and do donuts and stuff, and after he's done, he could drive down pit road, park it in the stall, and leave the server, or he can go into the actual victory lane of the racetrack and sit there and take pictures of him in victory lane so he could post it onto their thread or whatever. Um, I know I saw a lot of YouTubers saying that they would wish that there would be like some kind of presentation style, like the older NASCAR games when you came in victory lane. The car gets rolled in, your guy climbs out, celebrates with the team and the trophy girls and all that other stuff. And honestly, I agree with that. I personally myself want a full immersion of a racing video game that is going to be something that is completely different from anything that you'll ever see. And like I told one of my followers, who is also following me, but is also my main source for any of these things. I'll even read you what I sent him. Uh, I sat there and said, uh, uh, the kind of NASCAR game that I would like to have is the Assetto Corsia physics and gameplay, iRacing's laser scan, NASCAR 15. I might have this part wrong. NASCAR 15 paint booth, where you were able to actually create Dale Earnhardt race cars or any other particular race car you wanted to do. Uh, the F1 storylines, if somebody likes the storyline part of it. And the only reason I said that is because it'd be kind of cool to be able to sit there and have, the press come up to you and ask you questions about the race and everything. And remember, this is for career mode. So this is not just going to be a small little EA movie thing where it's just going to be probably one season, then it's done. No, it's going to be like every single racetrack you're going to be questioned about something, whether it be a wreck from last week or a qualifying issue or something. And then this is way out there, but something that I thought, Wreckfest slash or Beam NG crash physics, basically just the crumbling and the tires falling off and just the car getting broken. That's what I'm saying. A Gran Turismo community paint booth and uh, uh, yeah, sorry, the word slipped. Basically, say if we're doing custom setups, custom paint schemes, and all of those stuff in one of the leagues that we're in, and I want to run a specific kind of paint scheme. Well, on Gran Turismo, when I used to race on there for league races, you were able to go into a community page and you were able to download the paint schemes, the fire suits, and the helmets. That I personally believe would be kind of cool to have in a NASCAR game. Um, Project Cars 2 emerging immersiveness of setups. To me, Project Cars 2 kind of had a really in-depth setup system where you're able to tinker every little bit and creak and cranny of a race car. There might be other games that have a lot more in-depth setup kind of thing. That would be cool for, to put in here. Now, I did put this suggestion in here, but Xbox does not have this ability. So what I stated in here was um, Gran Turismo's tilting ability for steering. Um, on PlayStation controllers, they have this thing called DualShock technology. And with DualShock technology, you're able to use the tilt mechanism to either turn left or turn right. And that's how I raced in my Gran Turismo League. Unfortunately, I don't think Xbox has that ability. So that probably will, get trashed out. Um, a controller remapping, that'd be honestly cool because you could choose what buttons and stuff that you want to sit there and have as the buttons for your race car. Because there's people that do race with steering wheels as well, and they may need to have to remap their shifting. They may have to remap their change of uh, camera, or change their info box to where they can sit there and work on changing um, pit options and going back to the reference page, or going to the leaderboards, something like that. That'd be nice to have as well. Um, a lot of people are kind of wanting to have a modern day Dirt to Daytona game, and honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with that either, because if iRacing has already been working on World of Outlaws with Monster Games, then they shouldn't have any problems really making a Dirt to Daytona version for a NASCAR game. I know they probably won't be able to actually use the licensing name of World of Outlaws, but they probably could do something like the Super Sprint series, or All Star Late Models, or something. Something that is a different branding name that is not currently trademarked or copyrighted. Um, so that's something to also look into, because you could start out on 305 sprints, 410 sprints, wing sprints. Then you can go to from that you can go into asphalt, and you can do like the Cars Tour. And since Dale Earnhardt Jr. pretty much owns a share in iRacing, I really wouldn't be surprised if he will put his actual late model series in the next console video game. And I do believe that would be really cool, because you could go from being in dirt to super late model asphalt, then NASCAR Whelen Series, open wheel modifieds. Then from that, you can go depending on where you're at, you can go to the ARCA East or the ARCA West Series. From there, you could go to the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series. Another thing that I would like for them to do, other than the open infield and victory lane and the physics and all these other things, make the money that you earn in the game worth making. What I mean by that is have something to where drivers of the game can buy stuff, from different helmet styles to different carbon fiber seating to different shifter handles, gloves, helmets, fire suits, designs, uh, steering wheels. You know, a lot of people like customization for these games. And if I wanted to race in this car here that's being completely just shown and shown and shown. Remember, this is mostly just going to be audio for this episode. So you can just put me in your pocket or just, walk around the house, do your chores, and just listen. But that's what would be kind of cool, because if you could sit there and pay for a different styling and seating and a different shifter, gloves, and helmet and stuff, just the visualizations, something that you would really enjoy. Because I kind of miss seeing Dale Jr.'s skeletal gloves. Those were like the only kind of cool thing about driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr. was that he had those skeletal gloves, and he was the only driver that had those in that one video game. So, some customized, in-depth customization would be kind of cool, especially with your avatar, your pit box, and stuff like that. Now, this will not be an identical iRacing type of game, because if they do something like that, then, in all honesty, the people that sat there and spent all the money on iRacing and trying to just do iRacing within itself for NASCAR itself, if they find out that iRacing basically watered itself down, technically, into a console style, then if they're horrible or not doing very well on PC, then they might just go down to console and race in the console, which, hey, more the merrier is fine. But if they're an excellent driver on iRacing and they come down to the console version and it's exactly the same, how everything feels, acts, drives, and all that, then they're going to dominate in that too. And kind of sidetracked on that one. So, those are the things that I mostly am anticipating. Now, the idea that I had, now this is like a complete out there imagination, wishful imagination kind of idea. But my idea for a career mode slash online league racing mode is, whoever the league owner is or whatever, he can create a online league. It can either be a private league or an open league, and sets up the tracks, sets up the laps, sets up the time and the temperatures and everything like that for those races. And when you're in the race, right? So let's say this week we're going to be going to Martinsville. So we go to Martinsville. How I've always imagined it is, when you get into the server, kind of like with I'm trying to think of a game where you can get into a server and just start playing GTA, for example. So you get invited to the league server. You come into the server and everything, and once everybody is there and around, you can sit there and have it called the race weekend, where you have the practice session in there already, you have the qualifying session in there already, and you have the race portion of it in there as well. I know Project Cars 2 had that. The AC game had that as well. And there was another, I can't remember it, but that would be a really immersive type of thing that I would like. But what I've always thought would be kind of cool is like an open world type of NASCAR game, where you have your avatar and all this. And let's say, you're at Martinsville, right? When you load into the actual racetrack, you start out in your motorhome. And it could be any kind of style motorhome, from a bus to maybe just an RV trailer. And you can walk out of your RV, because your RV is where you can adjust your character, your hairstyle, whatever. You can adjust all that from there. You come out of your RV, and your RV will be behind you once this screen loads. And then to your left in a corner will be the garage stall where your car will be sitting. And if you're online, there's the garage stalls for other drivers as well. You'll see all your other competitors' cars also in those garage stalls too. And once you go around your bus or go around your RV or whatever you have as your quote, quote, home base, there will be other motorhomes and stuff of all the other drivers that are in the server too from behind you. In front of you, on the right hand side, will be all the race trailers and haulers. And you just go to yours, and you can go in there and you can sit there and adjust your paint schemes, adjust your team's fire suits, your fire suit, the pit banner, the pit box flag, the one that they wave up and down so that you can come down pit road, all that. And then when you go to your garage stall, that's when you can sit there and adjust your setups, adjust your car, and everything like that, and be the mechanic for your car. And when I say open world, I don't mean you like cop out and it's in first person, you look left and it click and it takes you there or whatever. No, you walk. You will walk. Your character will walk there or walk around or whatever. And then you can go to like a corner side of the other side of the garages or whatever. And there'll be like a group of fans there. You can go over there and get some respect points or fan points and just sign autographs. You just press a button and it shows you signing autographs. And you can do this all day if you want to, kind of thing. Have some areas inside the garages or wherever inside the actual infield of the track where league races can have like drivers meetings, and they can sit down in chairs and listen and all this other stuff. And not only that, it's open. It's going to be an open world thing for every single track that's on this thing. So drivers can sit there and go and talk to their buddies and everything like that at the track. Now, if you're getting ready to go into a practice session or whatever like that, I would love for this, because this is where the immersiveness of the game that I would appreciate would be at. You walk up to your car, and the league owner says, hey, we're getting ready to start practice here soon. Everybody start getting ready to strap in and all that. Have it to where you can adjust, choose different animations for your driver to be able to get into the car. It can be every single one of these guys here, them wearing one of those button suits is what I used to call them, where it has all those digital cotton balls on them that would sit there and put a humanoid mapping on their body and have them climb into the car like they do, or just have like 3 guys do it. And you can have like regular, casual, legend, or goofy kind of, climbing in the cars and climbing out of the cars. The animation, you can either have it in third person, where you can actually watch your guy getting into the car, or you can have it in first person, where you actually will be the guy getting into the car. And my idea with this was to have 2 people with those mapping suits on just be by a car and climb in. The second person that's there is the guy that will help get your window net up, help you get your steering wheel on, and get you all prepped and ready for the race. And that to me would just seem kind of cool. The other immersiveness stuff would be like, you're out on the track, you blow a tire, engine blows up, or you get into a track or get into a crash, and your car is just it can't go anywhere else. It's not able to get to the garage stall. It's not able to get to pit road. It's just out there on the track. Caution comes out. AI pace car, AI fire crews, ambulances, and all these other people come out to your scene. And you can climb out of the car, you can walk around the car and sit there and see the damage and anything like that if you wanted to and all. And if somebody dumped you or whatever, you can go out on the track and you can point at them. I know that they're going to try to also go for the kids, so I really wouldn't want any middle fingers or pardon me, middle fingers or any like fighting to be put on the game. But like some taunting wouldn't be a bad thing. Some like taunts, like clapping, or like Kurt Busch did at that one track where he patted his rear end and pointed, saying you need to be in the rear. And all these other like little taunts wouldn't be a bad idea, but actually having some vulgar cussing and all these other things, I don't think that would be a nice thing. But once you get out of the car, you can actually go and get into the ambulance, and you can either press and hold a button and skip the ride, or you can just take the ride and go to the infield care center. Once you get to the infield care center, it'll go black screen, and then you can either go and watch the remainder of the race, or you can leave the lobby. Your position, your points, and all of that stuff will stay because you qualified for the race and you were able to race the track, but you just won't be there watching the race. And that's another immersive thing. These are ideas that I have that I know will not come out, just so you know. So that's something. Another thing that I've always kind of wanted to see was the ability to actually be able to celebrate your win, whether it be on career or whether it be online. So let's say I just won a race, right? Instead of the game taking over, let me continue my cooldown lap and then be able to do donuts and stuff. And then after I get done, I can climb out of the car and sit there and go get the checkered flag, do a quick interview on the front stretch, and then get back in the car and actually drive manually, be able to drive all the way to the victory lane where there will be fans, crew members, trophy girl, the media, and the promoter for the sponsor of the race. And once you get there, park it and everything like that, you have all these certain things. Get a call from the owner if you work for Rick Hendrick, or once they have everything put onto the car and all that, you can climb out and celebrate with your team by pressing these winning taunts and all that, or jump into the crowd, and then you get to actually have the trophy. Speaking on trophies, trophy cases would be a cool thing to have, offline and online, whether it be for career mode or online. That would be cool. Just a lot of immersiveness is what a lot of gamers are kind of wanting. Something that I know that everybody's really hoping for is manual cautions, where the caution will come out and you're able to drive during the cautions, as well as being able to drive down pit road manually would be fun. I do suggest if they do come out with those two, to have like a pit limiter or a caution limiter. That way, people like me who are strictly controller, they don't have to worry about either speeding or over anything on that. I do understand that if you come into pit road hot at like 55 miles an hour and the speed limit is like 35 miles an hour, yeah, you're going to get penalized for that. But if you're going down pit road, to have the pit limiter on, just so you are at that consistent speed, that would be cool. Another thing with visuals and stuff like that I would really appreciate, especially with online, is when you're coming down pit road, you see every other driver's pit crew working on the car, whether they're working under the hood or doing a 4-tire and fuel stop or beating out some dents and scratches, whatever the case may be. That would just be the coolest thing, because like I said, everybody's won iRacing on a video game disc, and I know iRacing is not going to be able to do that. But to have something very similar to it is what they're wanting. Now, like I said, these are ideas I have for the game. These are thoughts that I have for the game. These are things that I believe would make the game good. But remember, I'm one out of a million people in the world. So don't take anything I say to heart. Don't really believe anything that I say would be coming into the game. Do your own research on that. Um, so to really conclude this, because this has been going on for about an hour now, and I really wasn't trying to make this an hour long, but when you allow your imagination to fly, it will take off from LAX and go wherever you want it to go. So, with that being said, the things that I hope to see is just the ability to have race weekends online and offline, to be able to have um, NASCAR Heat 5 have a 2023 update come out, which would be purchasable, that has all the paint schemes, all the drivers, all the rosters for every series on this game. Um, and then just with the next game, I just hope that we're able to do as much as we could that you can on iRacing, but I know it will be limited. And then lastly, as I say, what I really, really hope for is that there is an open interior on the infield to where you can sit there and uh, just be able to drive around it, explore, do these things, go down victory lane, and sit there and take pictures of your car when it wins and all that. Uh, with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to try and just hope and pray, guys. Really, all I could say. Um, I do appreciate you if you watched this video all the way through. Leave a comment down below on what you expect to see come from iRacing with this next game. Tomorrow night, I will be uploading this video. So be prepared for tomorrow night. The very first race of the season for the Tour de USA is going to be at Homestead Miami Speedway for 267 laps for the Dixie Vodka 400, where I will be driving the same car that I drive in a league race, the number 31 Leaf Filter Colleague Racing ZL1. Thank you for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to have any more NASCAR content or Hell Let Loose content or even Major League Baseball. I play a lot of games and I'm a talker. I only do this just to have videos for people to watch when I die. I don't do it for the fame. I don't do it for clout. I don't do it for anything other than just the fun of making videos. I've been flagged, and a lot of my videos have been copyrighted restricted, which means I ain't making money off of it, which I don't care. I'm just doing this for fun. So I hope you enjoyed. My name is Mav. I will see you in the next video. Thank you again to iRacing for buying the rights to NASCAR.